Olá, boa tarde from another beautiful Portuguese location, Valparaíso, Paradise Valley, not far from where I live in Sao Martinho de Porto on Portugal's Silver Coast. Excuse me. Beautiful bird song as you can hear, and a workman working nearby. This is a picnic site. If I just spin around a moment for you, you'll see a lovely little picnic site. Oh, workman seems to have finished. Perfect timing. And leaving us in peace here. The funny thing about this picnic site is that it's on a well, in a valley, a plain, quite a low. You'll hear the limitations of my geography and geology studies here. Even though one of my first jobs was at the Geological Museum in London, um, this strikes me as a plain, like a basin almost. There's the coast to my behind me, to the west, of course, and we are looking. I would say we're looking pretty much east into the countryside where the hills rise. So it doesn't really seem like a valley. It seems more like the space between the first main hills you come to after the coast, like a big floodplain, a former floodplain or seabed, which I think it is from back in the day, historically. Of course, back in the day, historically, the past, things that have happened can only be in the past. But let's not get into that tautology right now. I've got something else I want to share with you this morning. Having described where we are, so Paradise Valley, beautiful sunny day in Portugal, birds are singing. The workman who was using his drill here is gone. I've been here quite a few times, and rarely has it been still. It's often a little bit blustery, which for those of us who are susceptible, some people really struggle, don't they, with the breeze and the wind, and fear getting a chill. Other hardy types, Irish, Scottish, Celtic people, and Norse people don't seem to worry so much. Oh, look at that! That's a fine sight, isn't it? A truck with some hay bales on it. So definitely in the countryside here, and enjoying the peace of not utter tranquility because it's blustery. There's birdsong. There's trucks. Life goes on, and yet it does feel very peaceful to me. It's a lovely spot. So thank you for joining me. Hi to those. We see a lot more people here on these Munson's midday moments. So hello to you. Good morning. Morning, Portugal. Well, it's just going into the afternoon. We're a long way from the siren, the bomberos siren, which tells us it's midday. We're probably just after midday, and we're just going into the afternoon here in Portugal. But it's not really afternoon in Portugal until you've had your lunch, where you go from bon dia to boa tarde. But anyway, this is about having a moment of peace and not thinking too much about things. Oh, you can hear the siren. There you go. Some way away, but we can hear that siren in the distance, which is our call to, not call to prayer exactly, but call to peace, and to have a look inside, to be in the moment where we are, and just to pull back a bit from all the things we can see and are engaged with in the outside world, and just come back into our senses and be aware of them, but not be too involved and wrapped up in them. And then through the breathing and the senses, get a sense of our inner peace and tranquility, the inner landscape, if you like. So we're looking at this beautiful external landscape. We can also take a moment to be with our inner landscape. And it's the inner landscape where I think we get the greatest sense of the state we're in. And it just occurred to me in these last 24 hours, and I was talking to my wife Louisa about it over our mid-morning cup of coffee that we like to have, that to me, it seems all humans are really about is maintaining or creating their state. We are, whilst we're alive as a human being in a body, there comes with it a state of being. And I think that's what we're ultimately all about, is our state of being. And into that comes happiness or not happiness, unhappiness, just these various emotional states tend to predominate and are what we talk about. And when we talk about human happiness or the reason why we're alive, it tends to come back to that, what state we're in. And we live in the Western world in the great mental health pandemic of ill mental health and susceptibility to anxiety and depression and difficulty mentally. And we're looking for ways out of that, presumably. We talk about anxiety and depression because it's a state we don't want, even though so many people seem to find themselves in it so much of the time, it would appear, just judging from what's being said. Fortunately, I have had what I think people refer to as depression and anxiety in younger life, but not so much these days. And it's been because I think my lifelong preoccupation has been with and about what I'm talking about here, the state. What state are we in? It's always been fascinating to me. What state, my parents, what state were they in? What state were my colleagues in at school and at work? And what were people interested in? What was all this about? And it's about our state, isn't it? We're constantly doing things to change our state. And I think it's our foremost preoccupation. And it's so interesting if we take that as a given that what we're about here is the maintenance and creation of our state, why would we go around the houses so much? Why have we created such a mess and such an indirect path to maintaining a balanced, free and happy state, a state of peacefulness, which is what we collectively seem to want, yet have such a hard time realizing? And I put it to you that this midday moment, is about that, is about coming back to our optimal prime state of just being whilst we can and have the opportunity to do that. And those of you who, as I would like to see it, lucky enough to join me in sharing that, we have the opportunity to do that. And why wouldn't we? Well, because we're too busy chasing the state, aren't we? We're too busy chasing happiness to just bloody well be happy in the moment. So how about we do that now? I'm feeling the weight of my body on the ground here. I'm sat on the ground to get out of the wind a little bit. I'm leaning against a tree. If I pan up, you'll see trees all around me and above me, and the wind whistling through this little area. And I'll leave the sunshine in the frame because that's really beautiful. And I'm feeling the weight of my body on the ground. I can feel the various texture of the sticks and grass and earth and dirt. And I've got the tree against my back, or my back is against the tree. I think I'm leaning against it. It's not leaning on me, thankfully. And I can hear the birds, and I can feel the breeze occasionally on my skin and whistling past my jug-like ears. And I can rest in that awareness if I want to. I can allow myself to think more. I can allow my consciousness, my focus, to go on any other number of multiple, infinite concerns. Think about what bird that is that's singing, or think about how that hedge needs trimming, and just do what the mind does. Or I can just keep relaxing and pulling back to a purer, simpler awareness of just accepting what's coming to me through my senses without too much comment or judgment. And to me, it's as simple as that. That is what's helping us return to our more pristine states, our purer states, our preferred states, is to be in the senses, in that edge where our consciousness is touching the world through the senses, and to rest there where the senses are engaging with the world, and not to be drawn into too much interpretation or judgment. And practice that, because I love it. Absolutely love it. And I don't know if anyone else loves it, really. I'm assuming that when people meditate or find a bit of peace, relax, when they're doing simple things, even reading a book or focusing on a candle or whatever they're doing, where they're simplifying their experience in the moment. There's something very pleasant about that, isn't there? It's the opposite of burnout. It's lighting up rather than burning out. So that's what I hope for wish for myself and for you, and why I do these midday moments as a little an acknowledgement of this opportunity to do that, to fall still, be still, and revel in it, not just be aware of it, but revel in it. I think our heart, or wherever you would place our center of gratitude and appreciation, rises to that occasion, swells in the awareness of simplicity and freedom and just pure being. And that's why I do this. So let's have a few minutes of it in peace and quiet, shall we? Oh, it's so nice here. Here, as in this geographical location, but here in this peace, here in this realized, observed, and worshipped peace. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we can be charged up by this, I think, lit up, recharged, infused by this beauty, this stillness and this peace, and we can take that with us. And it can be a guiding light, it can be fuel, it can be inspiration for what comes next. And we have the choice, don't we? We choose our state as well. We can condition and reveal our state. And we can now go back into the afternoon, the rest of the day, and we can go pick fights, get worked up, be an arsehole, do whatever you want or not. It's up to you, isn't it? Isn't it amazing the amount of power and responsibility we have? There's a spirit, bird, totem, a hawk of some kind, I think, just flying over, transcending the earth and picking its moment to hunt, settle, or whatever. Simple, keeping it simple, as we can do in our lives, or we can make them horribly complicated and indulge all our lesser drives and our distractions and our addictions and our attachments, and we can really get a good fill of that, can't we? Start a fight, start an argument, do all that stuff that just seems to make the world go round, or we can rise above it like that hawk was just doing there. Choice is ours. Pick your state, and I'll see you again tomorrow.